And hey there, it's me, Mudlink, and welcome back to some more The Greatest Attorney Adventures. So last time, we started Case 5, The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story, or we also learned The Hound of the Baskerville, which we'll talk about after. Don't you worry, everyone knows that story about from Sherlock Holmes. We'll see, you'll have to see. In any case, we met back up with Gina again, and we ran into a little scuffle with this guy, Egbert Benedict, and the owner of the pawnbroker, so we gotta sort this out now. And of course, by sorting this out, I mean great deduction time, baby. Mr. Holmes, what are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. So, you found me at last, Miss Naruto. Sorry. After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So, feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you so shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruto? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. So desperately lonely. Then why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Poor Mr. Holmes, I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again. My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized? How much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Holmes had another one of his flashes of inspiration. Who knows if he'll help resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Well, Mrs. Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blaze have you been, eh? Pardon? When the lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away. No, now or later. Harsh. And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Egbert Benedict, you have in my eyes a veritably encyclopedic you have in my eyes a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is this: the true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this: a considerable crime is in contemplation when you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? You turn as white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Holmes has made a flawless deduction. And just who do you think you are, sir? Oh yes, as I hoped. That's precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Sherlock Holmes's logic and reasoning spectacular. The game is afoot. Mystery Man's aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocketeer, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by what you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is a staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff-wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane which you unwittingly clutch to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? Hi. And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of your next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see, from the moment I saw it. My suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod. It's a broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your motive for coming here was to take employ at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. On your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath the shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? Ugh. Fucking hate these British voices. Blah, blah, blah. By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway. It flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devised a masterful plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. Postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently, in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank, on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds of the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. Bam! Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' Great Deduction of his pawnbroking puzzle. Mr. Holmes? Well, Miss Naruto, an impressively upbeat deduction for Detective Ratcliffe's loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me in the strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly in fact. Ah, if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly, it is because the man is a criminal. What if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windybank will. He already has plenty of shovels here already, after all. Oh my life! I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Holmes. An excellent idea, Miss Naruto. An excellent idea. Well then, Miss Naruto, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes. Let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Sherlock Holmes is magnificent, logic and reasoning spectacular. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. Sorry. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is a staff recruitment flyer. So by Mr. Holmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Oh shit. Have to examine it, whoopsie. Those notes were scrawled by somebody famous, and as such are worth a considerable sum of money. The fact that you handle the paper on which they're written with gloves only proves my theory. So you came here today with the intention of pawning it for as much as a broker would give you. That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting to never have heard of it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry. I'll try again. Still don't quite understand why this gentleman came to Mr. Windybanks today. He might look like a smartly dressed man about town, but perhaps he's destitute, really. I really think that's the only explanation. We must stop thinking along those lines, Mr. Naruto. Yes, I suppose you're right. Well, in that case... Perhaps there's something in this pawn shop that the man was looking for. Let's look closely and see if there's anything about this person that gives us the clue. You have to examine it. Yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. It's a really crude drawing of Gina there. Oh, look at all the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade, height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness. There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although, if you showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. Look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windy Banks Pawnbrokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline, 15th of April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Bendig have all that information scrawled in the back of that piece of paper? Cry! Cry! Boom! So I just love the voice. I love the voice lines for the Ace Attorney games. Yes, what brought you into the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Windybank's pawnbroker here. Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windybank's Pawnbrokery, and today, the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So, you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. You have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot! I've had this cane for years! The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. What's a ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruto. Ah, the bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement? Yes, exactly. Mr. Holmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane. It doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Holmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Egbert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are E.B. Yet, in a most positive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials A.G. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said before that you had that cane for years. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you've withheld your true name. And it breaks again. You recoil, sir. Something wrong? Hi. Well, And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Mr. Strato deemed that fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything he's told us is untrue. Blind man, I guess. Holy fuck, I can't fucking... Jesus Christ. So what we need to do here... Just checking my email. What we need to do here. Someone prove that the overcoat can't possibly belong to him. Oh, what the f- I'm trying to check my fucking one of my Gmails, but the error code. Why is the 404 there? Email exists. There we go. Alright. Boom! The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Ah. Yes, because the owner of the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah. This catalog of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Winniebank. Ah! But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has happened considerably curtailed. That's what matters most here. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, gentlemen, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? N'est-ce pas? N'est-ce pas? What? N'est-ce pas? What? I know how to speak French and I fucked up that pronunciation royally. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. On your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might learn to come. How might one? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawn property of another. The method is revealed by the counter notice in the counter to which your eyes are inadvertently drawn. The direction of the detection must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of the tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Winniebank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Winniebank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? The gun! The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Mr. Strahd. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Winniebank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawn article from the young Mr. Strahd. Master plan? Which Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had a very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I've no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard says all we need to know. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Windybank isn't even worth a penny. Yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruto. Could we really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. We have to examine this. Sharp there, and... Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc. Look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded. McGilded? Could it be? But it is, Mr. Naruto. A name I shall never forget, for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? Yeah, it just gets spicier and spicier already. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, for McGilded. Ah. Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you squeeze yourself into. Ah. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Egbert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Miss Magnus McGilded. Ah! Angry man. Deduction complete. Elementary! Elementary, my dear Naruto. Well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Holmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Miss Suzuto. Well, according to what Mr. Windybank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today's 15th of April, so 2 months ago today. Would have been 15th of February, sir. That's right. It is all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that's just... Yes, the 15th of February. It's precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening. It's precisely the time at which the terrible incidents were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist that you hand over the music box disc now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. Ugh, what do I do? Fuck no. There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not. Chato! Mata! Sorry. Mr. Windybank? Yeah, she has a voice line there. This is my shop. It cannot allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windybank, no, stop it! Alright, that's enough. Inspector Gregson, go blimey. Inspector? That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines, so we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's this all about, eh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life and my very own establishment. Still pointing the gun at us like an idiot. There you go. It would seem you have the upper hand. Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. Petty? Mr. Windybank very nearly met his end. Met with his end. Yeah, by his own gun as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And the whole burden couldn't meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on. What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. Ah! He's getting away. After him. Get after him, lads. Whistle the beat officer, too. Sir. There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. So I've fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in mourning. Oh, yes? I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGill is down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh yes, of course. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. I'm sorry, miss. One thing belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. And so we handed Mr. McGilda's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. Summarily, I guess. That's how you pronounce it. Whoopsie. Whoopsie doopsie. To be continued. Investigation Part 2. Oh, hang on, I was just checking something. There we go. Jolly good. We're on Baker Street. See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh really, Mr. Strahd? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah, the day let me keep it. After I looked daggers at him for long enough, they went through the pockets and they said, "Go on then, have it." Have it, before telling me to scarp her. I always pays off giving people a look like you ate them. And I can't help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. What I really want was that nice shiny disc mine. Music box disc? But Mr. Winnieback said it was practically worthless. I think I'm going to go and have another bash. Give him a long odd stare. I think not, Mrs. Strahd. We shan't enter Winniebags again today. Why not? That's not fair. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Windybank. Well, that disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat, and it was in this coat's pocket. And there should be something else and all. That's what that rotten cove said, ain't it? Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well then, it's mine too, whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Mr. Strahd, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day. Yeah, it's all your fault, Holmes. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Eh? Iris would be delighted to. Iris would be delighted to cook. I'm sure. And I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. No, Ta. Oh. What would have come round your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something? Oh dear, she's gone. Having reviled me on quite necessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering. Perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. When she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for a potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry. I believe we'll have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting! What is it? You shall have to wait and see, Miss Suzuto. Until later, then. Yeah, well, I got nowhere else really to go except for Home's is sweet. Ah, Susie and Bruno, come in. Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always? I am. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening. Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh yes, after all, we have a special guest joining us tonight. Oh, I can't fucking read at all. Hang on. There you go. Sorry. Guess who it is? Go on. You'll never guess. Look at those little eyes of her shining. Oh dear, it is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Jenny! Isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise. Yes, that's wonderful news. Well, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. I can't wait till you learn some pickpocketing tricks from a real professional. Oh yes, it does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Miss Naruto? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Holmes up to? Early. Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back. Hello, Mr. Holmes? I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry. I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything. Yes, I see. Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes, Hurley does. Mr. Holmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yes, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. What's the matter, Bruno? You have ever such a funny look on your face. No, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Holmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How'd you... Oh, Bruno, I can read you like a book. Oh, this girl's dangerous. Don't worry, you can ask me anything. I won't mind. Ah, she's so adorable. So by Ginny, you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago, right? Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that try, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. Oh, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her in the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. And I chase after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed. Oh. There are so many beautiful colors in the world, Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Mr. Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Oh, I can't wait for Jenny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. I just hope she doesn't. I just hope she does actually come. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind that and where are your real parents? My mummy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born, and at around the same time, my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on. Oh, wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley? Yes. Daddy and Hurley were solving mysterious cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Really, he recorded them all. So you mean it's true, Mr. Holmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases? Oh yes, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So Mr. Holmes' partner was your father? Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more. So I opened it up and found your father's memoirs. Yes, so I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me. That's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father. So Iris's father was Mr. Holmes' partner. I practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy. I mean, it must have done. Wonder why Mr. Holmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh? Had to get water after. Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, actually. I'd always assumed Mr. Holmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solves the case, it all but vanishes from his mind. Oh, I see. The other day, it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone. You can say that again. That would be fucking hilarious to see. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Watson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Watson. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well. At 10 years old. Iris's father, who was sent to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Watson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruto. I already forgot what his voice was. It's been so fucking long since he was in this game. Can only state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Watson. That's right. Visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University. And the man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Miss Suzuto. Yes? Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Ah, my dear fellows, how good to see you. Mr. Holmes? Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? You tell me, Mr. Holmes, is your violin unscathed? My violin? Whatever are you talking about, my dear madam? Oh, never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. Oh, another music box disc. No, not another disc, Miss Suzuto. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGillicud's disc. Oh my. Then, what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruto, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at larceny. Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. And Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Right. Oh my god, she's so fucking cute. Plus, Susie had such wonderful handwriting, she could write all our menacing crime notifications. Yes, I'd be delighted. I'm just gonna pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna say it, even though I pretty much said this before. Damn, this guy's hot. I understand the fangirls a lot for this character. I'm not gay, but damn. Anyway, hang on a second. Alright, I'm back. Let's do this. I don't understand. How'd that just come to be in your possession? Thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude, it's precisely why I always carry some of this. That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Holmes. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. God blimey, I'll be taking out whatever it is of Miguel is down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes, you did, but I still don't understand. It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars. Like this. That's amazing! The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed. Its caramel is quite exceptional. I developed myself, do you know? Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution. How extraordinary. Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Do tell us then, Mr. Holmes. What music does the disc play? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Bruno? Inside a music box is a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it. But over time, a new type of player was produced, which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide, all around the globe. Why exactly? Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate because the discs are oh my god, I can't talk today. Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different notes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music even when no performer is present. But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another. And we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There is no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite untraceable. Ah, I see. So that's why. Naturally, I tested the box in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. So, I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's early for you. I was taking things too far. Oh, my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Motherfucker. Magnus McGill, not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Mr. McGill did perish within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained, and with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGill's innocence in the trial, the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. Murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGill was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's almost sort of getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. Thank you, Iris. Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Holmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windybank sent before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris's in pawn, didn't he? Did he? Yes, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Holmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, were his words, I believe. So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windyback's storeroom gathering dust. My dear madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than a bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was that safe and secure? Well, there may be the occasional mix-up. Caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now. Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Baskervilles story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. Ah! What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said The Hound of the Baskerville. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's because Miss Suzuto is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Holmes, of course. But Bruno, The Hound of the Baskerville has never been published. What? When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said that's why he said that he'd keep it safe until it was the right time for the story to be made public. You see. That's why the manuscript is at Windybanks. That's why the manuscript's at Windybanks? And yet, how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on? Ah, what is it, Mr. Holmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Mr. Strahd. This was a bad idea. I knew I wasn't welcome. I'm going. No, wait, Mr. Strahd. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Oh yes, just wait there, Ginny. We'll have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Miss Lestrade. Please, make yourself at home. Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some meddlesome? I won't take no for an answer. Meddlesome it is, then. G'day. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Holmes's violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us that all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves, well into the night. Back up here now. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine, and I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Holmes's violin even now. Best of all, I bet I could steal the glasses from his lordship's face next time we're in court. Naruto-san, could I consult you with you about something, I wonder? What's the matter, Suzuto-san? Suzuto-san? It's about the telegram I received. Ah, the one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose. I've been summoned. What? Summoned? What do you mean? The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Stronghart has asked me to see. The Lord Chief Justice? When? Tomorrow morning. What? Then we have to start preparing. Then we have to start preparing at once. Oh no, that won't be necessary, Naruto-san. I've been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Oh, who could that be, I wonder? Good evening, friends. Iris, hello again. And Gina, too. Yes, Ginny's gonna stay with us tonight. She's gonna sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Ginny? Well, yeah. How lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh, what in particular? Oh, those things Ginny showed us. Wasn't it wonderful? Oh, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques? We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened a natural talent. I could earn a living from it. You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. Also, you have a doctorate. I think you'll be fine when it comes to money eventually. So it brings you up to our noble quarters this late hour. Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? That's mine! Oh my, however did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius. So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though. Thank you. Alright then, good night. Yes, good night. So this is your office, is it? What do you think, Ginny? I think I wouldn't fancy me chances with a lawyer what lives in a place like this. Yes, me too. Seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about. I suppose. She probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yes, I suppose she probably does. Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm so sorry. I need a little more time, please. Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh no, not at all, Iris. Not at all. I don't know what all this is about, really, but it's a story you made up, is it, Iris? This manuscript or whatever you call it? It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something I read in Daddy's diaries. Daddy's? That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Dudley's assistant once, his partner. Eh? They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister? Apparently so. So I was as surprised as you are, though. And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So I study them and write my stories based on what actually happened. So, where's the old man now, then? He had to go away on urgent business to a faraway land, and he'll be gone a very long time, so I've never really met him. Oh, right. Come to think of it, I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. Hound of the Baskerville. Oh, is this Hound of the Baskerville story? I take it it's another tale inspired by your father's accounts? That's right. I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow. From the other cases, I mean. Oh, how? I don't really know. But it must be special in some way. Because after I'd written it, and I showed it the manuscript to Hurley, he turned as white as a sheet. As white as a sheet. It was the first time I've ever seen him like that. It pains me to have to say this after you toiled over it for so long, Iris, but this story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances. But why not? It's one of my best works. I'm not at liberty to say, not now. So please, do not ask me. All right then, I won't. But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windybank, isn't it? Yes. Really said it had to be somewhere safe, very safe. That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child. It's mean, that's what it is, keeping secrets like that. Sure Mr. Holmes isn't trying to be mean. Eh? He said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it. I'm sure there must have been a very good reason. I think so too. You lot are too trusting for your own good. But you can't pull the wool over my eyes. Holmes is lying to Iris. I bet my life on it. What? Hurley's lying to me? Hurley's lying to me? Eh? There you are. Gotta talk to you now. I realize I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't got any, have I? Never did have. Oh. Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us, from the minute we're born, not even our mums. But we all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones, and make sure they get by. That's why you're a pickpocket. That's why you're a pickpocket. Nah, Darwin's my life. I love it. I get a kick out of it every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. And that's how we all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't I? That's how I see it. Oh, Gina. I do think about it sometimes. What would it be like to have parents, I mean? I always thought it'd make everything right. But I haven't listened to what Iris just said. It sounds like having parents ain't always easy either. Oh. I mean, if you know you never had them, you don't feel like you always wanted to meet them. It's true. It's true. I do want to see Daddy so much. Oh, Iris. Gino, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Holmes is lying to Iris? Well, he reckons he popped that mental script or whatever, right? But come on, it's obviously a load of rubbish. Oh my, why would you think that, Gina? It's simple. If that store was really in old Windy Bank's storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. But Hurley would never do something like that. Hurley would never do. Oh my god, I lost the voice. It's like the one voice I did wasn't fucking losing it, now I lost it. But Hurley would never do something like that, I'm sure of it. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced lies, a lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling you, that mantle script ain't at Windy Banks. You'd soon see if you had a look at. Wait, repeat that again. You'd soon see if you had a look. If you think you can trust him, I don't. That Holmes is a liar, like the rest of them. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. See? Oh, but I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean, sometimes I wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere. Somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Oh my goodness, look at the time. Come along, Ginny. We should go back downstairs. Sorry. Yeah, alright. And please, don't mention any of this to Hurley, will you? No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina. Just let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning. I insist. Oh, yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night, then. Iris. Sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult. But deep down, she's still just a child. Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night, too. Naruto-san. Dr. John H. Watson, Iris' father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Yume University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on. Mr. Naruto. That voice, that's Mr. Holmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone. Gina? She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris' room, but her bed is empty. Well, she's an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no? I think not. When speaking to her before she retired, I received a distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Miss Suzuto. No, I don't believe the girl has gone home, but I've been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? Oh. If you'll indulge me, look out the window. my dear fellow. What's this about? Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night? That's Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery. Mr. Windybank's? Oh no. It's simple. If that store really was an old Windybank storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris. If you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Could Gina have gone? Seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruto. Sorry. Oh no. No, not really. Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once. At once. But, Miss Suzuto? The door to Windybanks. It's open. And the lamp is burning. It must be Gina, mustn't it? Let us hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something is afoot inside. There's no one here. Oh yes, there is. Ah! Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes! Oh, they missed Holmes there. What the? Has Holmes been shot? Leave me, Mr. Naruto. But after them. Go! Right. Blast! I've lost them. Hello, what have we here? The alarm was just raised from this pawnbroker, sir. Would you know something about that? Officer, come with me. It's my friend, Mr. Holmes. He's been shot. Shot? Hello, Governor. The policeman close behind me. I ran back to Windybanks.
Holmes-san!
なるほど様。
大丈夫ですか？僕は大丈夫だ。心配ない。それよりもあの扉の向こうだ。早く。椎名さん。
Now there is the perfect time to end this off. So now the investigation is really afoot. Because now we got Gina, who was seemingly killed Windyback. And of course Holmes is shot, so we gotta watch out for that too. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode. We finish up the second part of the investigation, as well as doing that little deduction and before. So yeah, next time on the Great Attorney Adventures, we're gonna be continuing with this investigation. Well, I guess finally starting one, really, and looking into the death of Mr. Windybank. So, see you guys then. Take care.